Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bookworms on Call, the podcast where we talk about all things literary,
Where we dig deep.
books, writing, and digging, excavation, mining, construction, and other shit. Sorry. Today's gonna be an interesting one because I'm sick. It's warm. I had a miserable day at work, but we're gonna do it anyway because it's Bookworms on Call where we record regardless. The show must go on. That's what they say. I am one of your hosts, Evan Rodriguez, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host.
Hello, everyone. I am Danielle, and I am in a
Yes.
better mood than Evan. I will say I am a bit sleepy, but that's because I took a nap beforehand.
Yeah, and I hope you're in a better mood than me because, oh boy, I'm in a not good mood on account of my illness and just exhaustion. But that doesn't mean we're not going to have a fun discussion today because today is a very special episode because it's the first episode that we're recording after the show has finally gone live.
Yippee!
Woo! As of recording, only the first 3 episodes have been posted, and episode 4, I don't remember which episode that one is.
Mental health and writing.
That one will be posted this coming Wednesday. It's very exciting. Danielle has told me that we have received some positive reception. Would you like to talk about that, Danielle?
Yes. Unsurprisingly, a lot of my friends have been listening to our podcast, and people that, not just friends, but people that I know, acquaintances as well, that have followed me on Instagram and that learned about it on the day of. And they were very excited to listen to our podcast, and I even have some people that I did not realize would be interested in listening to our podcast. Some family members, a professor of mine. I feel the pressure a little bit.
Hey.
I need to show up for my professor, even though I wasn't that good of a student in her class. But
Well, maybe you'll impress them now.
hopefully.
That's great. It's good to hear.
I am trying to get them to put their positive feedback into reviews, which has been the difficult part, being able to be like, "Do you love our show? Thank you so much. Can you review us?" And then crickets.
Yeah, guys, your positive reception doesn't matter unless like you put it in a way
No.
that helps us algorithmically.
That's not what I mean.
I mean it though. It's exciting. It's fun. It was a bit of a rush, a bit of a stressor to get the final things done before we had to post, but we did it anyway, and now we're here, and I'm happy with how the first 3 episodes have turned out so far. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see how the show grows. And speaking of how the show grows, my main discussion topic for today was not anything to do with the conceit of the podcast, but instead to talk about the podcast itself. I wanted to maybe perhaps talk a bit about the production of the show, the origins of the show, the trials and turbulations that have gone into producing this fucking thing. So I think maybe we should first just talk about the origins of Bookworms on Call. Not the name, but just the show itself. I don't even remember which one of us came up with the idea.
It was Evan.
I feel like
you did.
it was me. Yeah, because in my memories, I feel like I just offhandedly went, "We should make a podcast," and then we just ran with it.
No, what happened was that you offhandedly said that we should make a podcast, and I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." In my head, quite genuine, thinking like that's never gonna happen. I was just straight up entertaining you, and then it wasn't until a
Damn.
few months later that I was like, "Wait, what if we did though?"
Are you regretting it now, Danielle?
It's a lot more workload than I expected.
Oh yeah, but honestly, I feel like the hard part is over. Now our biggest obligations are just recording and editing the episodes, which to me isn't as scary as all that prep work, you know. That being said, I do want to say, talking about It Ends With Us, like, as one of the first episodes of the podcast, was always on the table. It didn't even have to do with the film coming out.
Yeah, that just worked perfectly.
Yeah. That's like just like happy coincidence, but like we read it a year ago and we were like, we should talk about this on a podcast, and then we did it.
And that was far before either one of us knew that there was going to be a movie made.
Honestly, I didn't know there was going to be a movie made until Danielle said that has to be one of the first episodes, so it lines up with the release of the film. So I was like, oh damn, okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, the It Ends With Us episode is our analytics. It's our most watched / viewed / listened to episode.
Hell yeah. That's good. I'm fine with that. Because honestly, I kind of have a complaint about the Zenith video. I feel like I don't shut up in that one.
It's a podcast.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like I was like not letting you talk. But also, to be fair, that was our second recording of that one, and we were both really fed up with it, so I think you just didn't have a lot you wanted to say, so that could also be it. But I just felt kind of bad when I was editing that one. I was like, damn, Danielle's not saying a lot, and I'm just like kind of shouting. And I was like, damn, I feel bad. I hate this one, but it's fine. I listened to it. It's back
out into the world.
Thinking about stuff like that, like the production of like a creative project, is really fun, because we decided that we wanted that to be one of the first episodes before we even knew what the name of the podcast would be. To relate it to books, that's kind of like how you write a story and then come up with the name of the story.
Yeah.
I think it's fun that like art is like, it's the process of creating art is like, it's not non-linear. I'm trying to think. It's like I'm trying to think of a term specifically used in film production where they film scenes out of chronological order. Mm-hmm. It's like non-sequential or literally just out of order. But I think it's fun how like when you're making arts, like that happens. Like you make the chunks and then you have to put the chunks in order. And that's exactly what making a podcast is like. I think. I don't know. I'm trying to relate it back to the whole merits of the podcast. Mm-hmm. Sorry, listeners. I know I already said I'm sick. I'm going on day 3. It's rough out here. I'm doing my best. But yeah. And I think that's a good opportunity to talk about the name Bookworms on Call.
Which one of us came up with that?
I think you like came up with a ton of ideas, and then I kind of like smooshed 2 of them together and was like, this one sounds good. And then we went with that.
I think our name is cute.
Yeah.
I love our name.
I immediately thought like it was very, not to like be a capitalist about it, I thought it was a very like marketable title. Because like it immediately evokes imagery, and it also tells you what the fuck the podcast even is to a simplistic level. It's about people talking about books and writing. But also, Bookworms, we got a mascot immediately. It's perfect. Especially for a beginner podcast to have like some kind of iconography. Yeah, I don't remember what the names you had come up with were. And I wish
a lot.
Yeah, I wish I had come up.
I'm sure I can look it up somewhere.
Yeah, I know you texted them to me, but that was like a while ago, so I don't even know if you could find those. I wish I had come up with the idea for this episode like a couple days ago, so that we could have just prepped something like that to like have that ready to look back on, but it's fine. Oh yeah, by the way, listeners, since this episode is about the production of the show, here's some behind the scenes trivia for you. Danielle didn't know what we were talking about until literally like 2 minutes before we started recording, because I've been sick. I was genuinely struggling to come up with an episode for this week, and I was just like, let's just talk about the podcast since this is our first recording after
get a little meta.
It's gone up. Yeah, so here we are. We're talking about the show.
And I think that also, to interrupt you, I also think that also shows our differences I would say, because we tend to complement one another. As I feel like we complement one another definitely in our creative ventures, especially with this podcast. I can see it a lot more now. I have gotten my friends have pointed out or made fun of me. They're like, Evan did all of the art, Evan did all of the did most of the editing, and what did you do? And I'm like, okay, hold up.
Danielle did a lot.
I did a lot. Okay.
I would argue Danielle did more than me. Okay, Danielle was doing like all of like the technical stuff. She was setting up the website. She was doing a ton of research into like how to actually make a podcast. She was looking into like sites to record on and programs to record with. Like Danielle was doing a lot of shit, and she was also looking into like SEO stuff and all that, and whatever metadata is. I don't even know what half the stuff she was doing even is, but she was doing a lot, and I'm gonna defend her. It's like, I made some drawings, okay? I didn't do that much.
But I did find it, they were jokingly teasing me about what I was doing, but I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, absolutely not. I did a lot of work on this podcast as well.
You did a lot
in general. Going back to the point. It serves to show off our differences, especially personality-wise and work-wise. Like, I hate the word type A. But
I mean, good, because you're going to have to use a different example, because I don't know what that means. I hear that so much, I don't really know what it means.
It was based off of a shitty anti-smoking campaign. That's like, if you're more type A, you're more likely to, or you're less likely to smoke because you're more organized.
Oh. Okay.
And then if you're type B, you are not, so you're more likely to smoke. It's fucking stupid.
Damn, that's crazy. I guess I'm a smoker. I'm going to have to tell Avery.
But I am definitely the more organized out of us two, and I don't think that's controversial of me to say.
No, I'm a disaster. My shit's
like,
a mess.
I have a list. I have all of my episodes planned out for season 1.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. I don't.
They do change, as what is evidence of last episode. That was my episode.
Yeah.
But I do have a rough idea, and I think that it's my personality combined with your creative energy was also really helpful. And it also helped, I think, because I was the one that was putting pressure on you guys to get your deadlines done.
Yeah. It helped, I guess. It was kind of scary, but it helped. I'm just not used to doing, like, projects on a deadline, so it did kind of stress me out, but, like, I understand why we need deadlines for something like this, where it's, like, a structured weekly thing. It's like, we gotta have a deadline.
And I was also the one that made those deadlines in the first place. I was, like, scheduling things out way beforehand in advance. I'm also the one that was talking to people, trying to get them to be that I'm currently talking to people to be a guest on our podcast. I am still trying to get a few more guests on this podcast. More. I'm so excited for episode 8, y'all. So excited.
Which one's episode 8? Is that the next one?
Yes, it is.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right, because we're recording it on the 17th.
I gotta finish that book.
Is literally in a week. Oh, that's exciting.
The book is so good. Do we want to spoil what episode 8 is or no?
I mean, we can talk about it. I think it's fine.
So episode 8, we are going to be interviewing Sophia Slade, a mutual of mine that I have been mutuals with since 2019, and it has been amazing to see her career progress over the span of 5 years, and she's having her traditional debut with Night Strider. My goodness, it's such a good book, y'all. It's such a good book.
Damn. I wish I could know how you feel.
Maybe when it comes out, you can read it via audiobook.
I will have to. I feel like it will be an obligation of mine as a host of this podcast who will be participating in the interview with the author to do that. And then maybe, like, once I've done that, I can, like for part of an episode, I can share
do
my
a section
feelings
review.
on it. Yeah, that could be fun.
It's so good. I
Yeah.
love it. I don't know if you will love it because it's kind of purple prosy, but I love it.
I guess it depends on the purple prose, because I kind of use that phrase very loosely to just mean, like, you're talking for too long about stuff that feels like nothing, but you're trying to disguise it as, like, something beautiful and poignant, even though I can.
I
tell
don't think it's
it
that.
means
I
nothing.
think the purple prosy in that book turns into describing the world around the characters, and it's a fantasy world, so you have to describe the world around them.
Yeah.
And the type of fantasy world isn't very. It's not like Arthurian, where you can kind of assume what's going to happen in the fantasy world. It's like completely different from any fantasy world that I've read. So I think the purple prose is necessary. The purple prose, quote unquote. The description is necessary, in my opinion.
Then I should be fine with that.
It's so good.
All that's to say is Danielle worked just as, if not harder than me.
I'm glad it's coming out of your mouth so that my friends will stop bullying me.
And some people might think I feel ashamed about that. I don't. Danielle's the one who put all that work on herself. And I was just like, okay, I'll like do the art, I guess. I'm just here to have fun. If I was in charge, this shit wouldn't even get done. We'd be episodes would get posted at random days, weeks apart. It's like, you guys are lucky Danielle's doing all this work. And I hope she doesn't resent me for that.
No, I don't. I'm very grateful that you can do the work that I can't as well.
And like, it's not like the art for the show is stopping at like our key art. Like maybe I've already thought about like doing like fun doodles, like inspired by moments from the show. Maybe I can even do fun. Like maybe like little animations of funny moments. Those do really well on like YouTube Shorts and shit. So maybe I will.
Maybe we will.
Yeah, it's my content creator brain. And speaking of work and deadlines and the stress of it, let's talk about some of the hurdles of doing this show, because holy fucking shit, there is some real stinker moments in producing this thing.
Yeah.
Namely, having to re-record episodes is kind of just like like soul crushing and heart wrenching and a nightmare. I think we had to re-record the first episode like 3 times.
Yeah, it was rough.
God, yeah, it was rough. Do we want to? I know Danielle doesn't want us to like publicly bash the program.
Oh, you already did. You published it on episode 2 against my.
I did?
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember. I guess I haven't re-listened to episode 2. I've only listened to episode.
Or maybe
1
that was
3.
Avery's episode that they edited it.
Avery edited episode 2, so maybe Avery did keep it in. They're doing homework right now, so I'm not going to interrogate them.
But we already talked badly about them beforehand. We can talk badly about them again. Why the hell not?
Yeah. Anyway, so we tried to use this little program called, what was it, Riverside?
Yes, because I heard nothing but fantastic reviews on it, and I was using. For as much as I dislike Riverside now, I will say that their YouTube channel was incredibly helpful in creating this podcast for me, learning what goes into making a podcast, what it looks like to edit on Final Cut Pro and iMovie. Back when I thought that I was going to be editing this episode, thank you, Avery and Evan, for editing these episodes. I am not a fan of editing. It's not I know how to do it. I edit my own YouTube videos, but it's not my favorite thing in the world.
Another behind the scenes thing. I love editing, so I'm totally fine with doing it. It's one of my favorite parts of the process. So anyway, Riverside sucks. Danielle, tell us why.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know how to describe what happened. So we were filming and everything should have gone well. It should have gone perfectly fine. But then it only recorded Evan's part and didn't record my part, even though I was the host. So you would think that it would record my part and not Evan's part, but it just did not. And at the end, I was so frustrated with it that they sent in a request to be like, how was your first experience recording on Riverside? And I went off on them. I was like, this is horrible. Your interface is horrible. And at the end I said, get a grip.
Yeah, she did. She told the company Riverside, get a grip. It was very funny. And I think my review was just stinky, bad, never use. Like, just opposite sides of the spectrum of bad review. Like, Danielle was like very
I went like Karen on them.
Boo. Yeah. But My conspiracy theory is like they make it the free version bad on purpose so that you want to buy the subscription or whatever. But,
yeah, maybe the paid version is infinitely better.
Maybe. I can't afford to pay for it. So I will not be doing that. Sorry, Riverside. If you sponsor us, maybe we can sing your praises, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Yeah, so that was a disaster. Fortunately, it was just the first episode, so it was only like a 30-minute recording, so we had to re-record it. I think a second time, maybe a third time. I'm conflating having to re-record Zenith.
I think you're conflating having to re-record Zenith.
Yeah. Which arguably was a worse experience because talking about Zenith is just torture in and of itself.
Yes.
But on top of that, I thought our first recording of Zenith was really
fantastic.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode. I think the current episode we have is also great. Arguably better because of how frustrated and annoyed we were. But I am sad that we lost a really good recording.
Me too.
And worse yet, the way we lost it was just my computer was like, sorry, no more storage, goodbye. And then
I know that sucks.
Gone. It's stupid and annoying. It's why I have to record in parts now to make sure I'm not losing any footage. Another behind the scenes tidbit. And speaking of, I'm probably not going to edit this part out to let the audience in on the magic or whatever. But I am going to stop my recording really quick to make sure we don't lose this. Recording again. All right. 3, 2, 1. And that is what we have to do now because I'm too fucking scared of losing another recording. But it's worked so far. Losing Zenith was arguably worse than having to re-record the first episode just because there was so much content lost. It was literally the majority of the episode on my end.
It was like 2/3 of the episode just gone into the wind.
Not even 2/3. It was like 90% because
Was it?
all we had left was like the last 10 minutes of the episode. Yeah, it was a total loss. It sucked. But, what are you going to do? Being an artist is about persevering through hardship and making it again better the second time. And honestly, I think those kinds of things are like blessings in disguise. Because it's like, I've had moments where I'm drawing and my program crashes and I lose progress because I haven't saved in a while. And then I look at the progress I've lost and go, well, this sucks, but this just means I can do it again better because now I know what I want to do and how I can do it more efficiently and maybe how I can improve upon what I already did. It's like getting a second chance at doing something. It's like getting to remaster your work before you even post it. Hopefully we won't have to re-record too many episodes going in the future.
God, I hope so. It's a pain, and our schedules also, we both work full-time. Mm-hmm. I'm a full-time student and work part-time. It's a nightmare trying to get our schedules to align.
Yeah, it's like we have to record on weekends because those are Danielle's days off. Because my days off are in the middle of the week when Danielle is working, so we just have to record in the evening on the weekends because it's the only time that we have a chance to record. But it's adapting. That's what being an artist is about. I know I just said that being an artist is about persevering through hardship. It's also about adapting to the hardship or something. Being an artist is about a lot of things. And any other fun production tidbits you want to talk about, Danielle?
Not necessarily. I will say that I was going into this podcast thinking that I was going to be editing the podcast, and I was not looking forward. I cannot reiterate enough how much I was like, I have to edit. Yeah. And this doesn't mean to be like I hate editing. Like I enjoy it sometimes. I do find I have to. I edit my own videos on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube on Danielle Mario. But and I have been having more fun with editing now that I have a new editing software to play with. I got Final Cut Pro finally after God knows how many years. So I've been doing YouTube.
I'm so jealous.
And I still don't know how to really use it, but I am learning. I was going into this being like, oh my goodness, I don't know how I am going to balance editing my YouTube videos on top of editing the podcasts, because I do weekly videos on YouTube and those take up a lot of time. How many? I would say it take me 12 to 15 hours to edit a video.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. The only part about editing I don't like is how long it takes to do.
Yeah.
Especially when you're, like, doing, like, full scripted stuff. You gotta cut out all your bunk takes. You gotta put in captions. You gotta put in images. You gotta insert your B-roll, etc.
I don't find the scripted ones to be difficult for me personally, but I do find the week in my life videos to take a long time because I'm trying to pierce a story together between all of the random takes that I have. If you want to watch my last week in my life video, there was a story against my will.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. Did you watch that one?
Damn, I guess I gotta check it out. No, I'm gonna be real.
It's fine.
I haven't been watching a lot of YouTube lately. Well, I have been, but not like in like a dedicated fashion. I've just kind of fallen off YouTube recently. Mm-hmm. I've just been really tired and bored of it.
It's fine. But
hey, maybe I'll check out your most recent week in my life because apparently something interesting happened.
It's not a fun, interesting happening.
Oh no!
It's a very sad thing that happened in my life, but it was good content.
That's the content creator mindset, Danielle.
No, legit. I was like sobbing in my car, and then I would be like, "At least it's the week in my life video."
Jesus.
Anyway.
Fortunately, the podcast does not take that long to edit. From the single episode I've edited, it took about 4 hours. It's
okay.
I'm gonna be completely honest with the audience. Editing a podcast is so easy. It's because you're just cutting up footage. You're not inserting clips. You're not doing captions. You're not looking for like reference images or reference footage. It is just cutting up footage. It is so easy. And that's my favorite part of editing is cutting up the footage, so it's like snappy and fun and concise. So it's like cool. Editing the podcast is doing my favorite part of editing and only that part. So
sounds like a dream.
Yeah, we're winning. Danielle doesn't have to edit, and I get to do my favorite parts of editing.
Woo!
Hooray!
And I can also do my favorite part about making content, which is the social media part.
Yeah. Sorry, that wasn't me being sassy. There was like a hair floating in my face.
It's fine. You're gay. I expect you to be sassy.
Hey. I'm allowed to be sassy even if I'm heterosexual. Don't be mean. That's just who I am.
For anyone listening, I am also queer. That wasn't me being homophobic.
Yeah, we're both gay as hell. It's fine. This isn't the relationship podcast. We're talking about the production of the show. But also, I wanted to use Danielle talking about their YouTube channel to transition to talking about... Producer Avery gave me something that I'm not doing a bit about because it's not funny. I wanted to use Danielle talking about their YouTube channel to transition to talking about the other part of today's discussion topic, which is creating in general.
Ooh, I would love to talk about that.
On top of talking about the creation of the podcast, I also wanted to just talk about things we are currently or are planning to work on now that the podcast is rolling and like we're not so laser focused on just making sure it gets out. Danielle, are you working on anything right now?
Plenty.
Do you have anything you want to talk about?
I am working on my poetry as always. I have made it a goal to write 5 fire themed poems that like fire themed around fire, not like being like, oh, this poetry is fire.
Yeah, no, I got that. Yeah, no, I knew what you meant.
But 5 fire themed poems because there is a magazine that I really like. And they have put up submissions for fire themed poetry, and I'm like, ooh, I want to submit. So deadline is by the end of this month, so I gotta get moving. I already have one done, and it was about, it's not a spoiler, but it was about how I want to write a poem about the Tagalog word fire But then as I was Googling what was the word for fire in Tagalog, I was like, man, I feel such like a fake Filipino.
Aww.
And it was like an identity crisis moment. So that's what I wrote the poem about. Just like poking fun at myself for having to Google the word, what does fire mean? And
hey, inspiration comes from many places. I think that's a really cool like origin story for a poem.
Mm-hmm.
And just a cool concept for a poem. I'm so jealous of people who can write I'm sure I could write perfectly fine poetry if I like actually practice, but like poetry is such like a refined art form. Like you gotta be really clever to write good poetry.
Mm-hmm. The fun thing I like about poetry is that poetry is subjective. So a good poem to me is a bad poem to another. So I can write whatever the hell I want.
Yeah, poetry is so cool though.
Not to say that my poetry is bad, but I think I write good poetry.
Have I read any of your poetry? Have you like ever shown me any of it?
I must have at one point, and then I don't think I did because your specialty is not in poetry. I don't
maybe.
With peace, love, and respect, I don't go to you for my poetry critique.
That's totally fair, but I believe Danielle's word. I believe that she's good at poetry because she's very talented.
Aside from fire themed poetry that I got going on, working on my YouTube channel always, trying to keep the schedule going. And I do have things going. Funnily enough, I was going to post a video that was all behind the podcast, and that's coming out next week on August 19. So that video should already be out, because as we were going throughout and making the podcast, I was doing weekly updates on my own, being like, this is what we did this week, and this is what I'm feeling. Yeah, I'm doing my own version of this on my YouTube channel.
Cool, that's fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Synergy. We'll see if the clips are any...
synergy.
But we'll see if the clips are any good, because I haven't looked into editing it yet. If the clips are bad, I might just cut it. And you will never know.
Just fucking throw it away. Just like, who fucking cares about this? We're doing a whole episode about behind the scenes. They don't need a video about it. Whatever.
Yes, who knows? But aside from that YouTube channel, I'm also trying to get back into novel writing. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time since I touched a novel.
Oh, yeah.
And last time I did, it was probably 2023 or 2022 when I was seriously working on my last novel. Mm-hmm. But now I'm working on a different novel, which is... I don't want to say YA, because now that I'm outlining it, it's looking to skew more adult.
Hell yeah. Fuck those kids.
Not to say that there's like explicit scenes or anything. I thought it was going to be YA, but the more I was writing it, I was like, I don't know how to make these themes YA without making it seem juvenile.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I know I've also had like concepts where like once I start like actually writing it out, I'm like, I can't keep this in this age demo and fully realize the story I'm trying to tell. So I have to switch age demos. That's totally valid.
And it was inspired by Breath of the Wild. Lovely.
Ooh, that's fun.
And I'm very excited for it. I am still trying to get to know the characters. I finished outlining the first act, but I do realize I have a bad habit of being like, oh, fuck it. I'll outline the first act of a novel, and then I'll be like, I'll figure it out when I get there. I spend 2-ish months writing the first act, and by the time I get to the second act, I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing, because I didn't outline it. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to outline the whole thing first, because I know myself.
Outlines are important.
But I don't think I'm going to get to do that until school starts, because I don't have access to my wall of sticky notes that is behind me, if you're watching. Because during the summer, I'm living in a small apartment that I share for other people. And here I have a room all to myself during the school year. It might take a while.
Well, hey, it's exciting nonetheless. I too am kind of working my way up to getting back into not a novel, but I think I'm gonna finally at least start working on the whole comics thing. Basically, I've been I don't even know how familiar Danielle is with this project, but I post about it occasionally on Instagram. But I've been thinking about my what I done my Holland Beasts project a lot lately, and I have a story for it. I basically know what the entire story is going to be at this point, because that's kind of what I do when I'm at work, I just think about like what story is I'm currently obsessed with, and then I just think about it to death for months on end until I basically know the whole story. That's kind of what happened with Whispers of the Universe. Like, I know the first book of that completely by heart because I would just think about it over and over and over again. That's kind of what I've been thinking about it so much that I'm like, I'm already like starting to work on stuff for it. So I think I'm going to actually like start exploring, like working on an outline, like touching up some world building stuff, character concept art, so I can hammer those home, and then like, you know, get into the whole like scripting process, because like for comics you have to do a script. It's not as straightforward as just writing it out. I gotta learn how to do that. I gotta learn how to format a comic script, which is gonna be interesting to learn, but I'm excited to learn that. I've already done research into that. I kind of already know how it works, but I gotta like actually like start practicing that. And I'm also kind of excited to like explore more of like the vibe I'm going for with it. Yeah, so that's something I've been kind of just like really hard focused on, and I'm gonna work on it when we're done recording too. Like, there's some stuff I have to figure out, like logistical, like in-universe rule stuff I need to make sure are like consistent and like ready to actually be incorporated into the story, because I don't want to avoid I want to avoid like consistency issues. So there's technical stuff I have to figure out. I've just been thinking about it a lot, so I'm just gonna do it because I want to start working on comics, and it's like I already want this to be a comic, so let's just do it. And sometimes you have to do that. You just have to just go, let's just do it, so that, you know, it's not just sitting in purgatory forever.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to be like, fuck it, and find out what happens along the way. Oh, if you're talking about our project, I would love to talk about my project for a little bit. It is about a woman who, how do I say this? She is an indentured servant, and her boss is not the best. So she goes up to, I haven't decided yet whether it be the boss's boss or a rebel leader, where she's like, help me buy my freedom, and they agree to negotiate her contract if she buys her way out. And she's like, I don't have that money. And they say, well, figure it out. And she discovers that one day there is an award. Is that the word for it? A reward for going into an abandoned castle and finding out a magical item inside. And she decides to pair up with a happy-go-lucky person who she hates. It's Grumpy Sunshine. And they decide to go on an adventure together, and then madness ensues.
Ooh, that's fun. I like that. That sounds nice. That sounds cool. I mean, I guess if we're talking about like the actual plots of the projects themselves, I guess I can say at least the comic. I'm also kind of conceptualizing a game. I don't know. That's going to take way more work, so I'm not even going to talk about that aspect of this project, but the actual comic part of the project, basically, it's a post-apocalyptic... think about... how...
Oh, mine is post-apocalyptic, too. Mine is like soft apocalyptic. Okay, here's the thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
again,
I'm excited.
but...
We're talking about stories. This is fun.
I was going into it expecting that it was going to be, the setting was going to be like a soft apocalypse. I was thinking Breath of the Wild, to where everything's very peaceful. It's soft apocalypse, but you can see glimpses of the horrors left behind.
It's like post apocalypse.
Yes, but I didn't realize that the main character, the woman who is named Sloane, her character arc resorts to her gaining more magical powers, and those powers happen to be death powers. And I was like, how am I going to write a YA book about death powers? That when the theme is about anti-imperialism, that seems ridiculous.
Yeah. Sorry, kids, this one's not for you.
I mean, I could try, but I feel very confident with it being adult. And I think that
if you're confident, you got to do it.
Yeah. So we will see how it goes. It's still very much in the brainstorming process, but I'm very excited for it. You're saying, Evan? So
my story, it's like Pokemon plus Mad Max. It's also set in like a post apocalypse where like the world ended like 100 years ago, and like people are kind of starting to get back on their feet, but the world is a desert hellscape now, and there's like roving like motorcycle gangs who are like fighting for territory, and basically there's but they're not fighting for territory with like guns and stuff. Like I said, it's like Pokemon plus Mad Max. People control these like quasi digital monsters called Holland Beasts, and they fight those to like settle all their disputes. And some people do it in like a peaceful manner, like two cities will like have like a representative battle Holland Beast to like determine who gets reign over like some kind of food supply or something. They'll do stuff like that. But then there's like these roving gangs who will like show up and like use their Holland Beasts to like intimidate people and steal their stuff. And then there's this lone wanderer named Iobi who has a very special Holland Beast who has like a mysterious origin, and basically the plot of the story is her teaming up with a bunch of nobodies to take down this like evil gang that's terrorizing everybody. And I can't really talk. I have like themes about like there's like themes of like identity and like stuff like that. All my stories have the big theme of identity. So but I feel like I can't really talk about it without like going in depth in the plot, and I know I'm a chatty Cathy, so I know I could literally talk about this for hours, so I'm not going to. But like basically that's the story. It's like desert hellscape with magical monsters and people trying to like liberate themselves from this evil gang who's just trying to steal everybody's shit and, you know, take over the last remnants of humanity. And I'm excited to really start actually working on it, because it's been a story that's been in my brain for years. So but also I just think the idea of like magical monsters like having fights on top of cars during a car chase is just a fun visual. And so yeah. So that's what we're working on.
We're keeping ourselves busy over here.
Yeah.
We also have our own personal projects going on.
Maybe we'll
too many.
In like future maybe in future episodes we'll like sprinkle updates into like what we've been working on in regards to those projects. But I'm not going to promise anything because that's too much pressure for me. Because then I'll feel obligated to work, and then it's like it stops being fun. Then it's like I don't want to
listen to episode 4 on our mental health and writing.
Exactly. Brand synergy. Thank you. But yeah, so yeah, this podcast has been an exciting venture so far. It's taught us a lot about, well, it's taught me a lot about fucking working in like a team on a creative project.
Let's talk about that for a second. Working on a team with other people.
Oh, okay.
I love Evan and I love Avery, but I work alone for most of my projects. My two main projects are my writing and my YouTube, and as you can imagine, those two main projects are very much alone. I edit all of my YouTube, and I think the most that I've done with getting help with my writing is getting critique partners, and that doesn't happen. That's only one stage of the writing process for me. Everything else is very much alone. But working with other people and depending on other people makes me want to tear my own eyes out.
Oh yeah, no, it can be really frustrating sometimes. Especially No, I know how you feel, cuz like at work I have to like, you know, work with people.
Not even with my work. I don't work with other people that often.
Yeah, and I used to not to, but ever since moving, my job has been way more team focused. And it can genuinely be really frustrating when people like aren't doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. So I absolutely know how you feel, but I think this podcast has been very helpful in helping me work in a team in a creative way. Because like obviously I can do it in like a work setting, but like in a creative setting where like I'm super free form when I'm like making stuff. I don't give myself deadlines. I don't like give myself like rules to adhere to. So like for me it was like, oh, I'll get it done whenever, but then it's like, no, I have a deadline, I have to do this.
There's someone there's someone that will be mad at me.
There's someone who's relying on me to do that.
And that person is me.
Yeah. So that's been like a great learning experience. But on top of that, this podcast has just gotten me excited to make things in general, not just make this podcast. I definitely feel like as we've recorded more episodes, I've been more excited to do the podcast, but it's also just made me more excited to do creative things in general. I think that's part of why I've been thinking about my Holland Beast project lately, because it's like, I want to make something now. I want to like get my work up and running and back out there. And so I'm excited to make things again. And hopefully, you know, that keeps going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't say the same for me when it comes to like, because like I said, I am very I always set deadlines for myself. I'm someone that is very like, I want to do this and this and this by this date, and I do my best to adhere to that. Or if not, things change, it changes. But I am someone that does set deadlines for myself. And again, going back to us working together, I think that also helps to see how we work well together, in the sense that I provide a bit of structure to Evan's creativity.
Yeah, which, you know, can be a little, that can honestly be a little frustrating for me sometimes, because it feels like pressuring, and then it's like, well, now it's not fun. But, you know, that's just part of collaborating with somebody. You have to learn to like do things that might make you a little uncomfortable so that it gets done.
That's both of our goals, to get it done.
At the end of the day, that's the most important part, is making sure it gets done. I appreciate the learning experience, and I've been having a lot of fun doing it, even through the frustrating parts. Honestly, I'm surprised our discussion has gone as long as it has. I thought this would be like a 30-minute episode, but like I feel like we've had like a good conversation just about the production of the show, what we're working on, what we're looking forward to in the future. I think this has been a good episode, and I'm feeling good about everything that we've got in store for ourselves and for the audience.
I did have someone tell me that how come you didn't say remember to dig deep and answer the phone the next time we call on the Zenith episode. They were very upset, so I feel like we need to
Did we not say it?
I don't think so. They texted me and they were like, how come you didn't say it? It's your catchphrase, right? And I'm like, I guess it is.
I guess so. Well, to be fair, that was an episode I hosted, so I probably just straight up forgot.
So, for you, dear listener, you know who you are.
This has been Bookworms on Call. Remember to dig deep. And, oh shit, I forgot what the rest of it is.
Answer the phone the next time we call.
Yes, answer the phone next time we call. Because we will be calling. I have been Evan. That has been Danielle. We're gonna go probably take a really big nap. Good night, everybody.
Bye.